Good morning. This is Rob Norton from Capstone Wealth Advisors, and thank you for joining us for Capstone Coffee Conversations. As many of you know, we try and do this as a monthly presentation to just simply discuss topics that might be of interest to clients and some of our partners. Originally, it was supposed to be everybody gathered around the table having a cup of coffee, but COVID has changed that. We'll see if the election and the cure bring us back together. Today we have Nate from Quantum. Quantum is our insurance partner. They're a business partner of ours that provides insurance solutions for the benefit of our clients with life insurance policies, annuities, and other things that might be of benefit. Nate's gonna lead this discussion. He's joining us from Arizona, their headquarters, and I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Nate, are you ready?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Rob and I were talking about, some of the more hot topics that are going on in the insurance industry, specifically because of the election, but not just because of the election, also because of what's happened this year. Everyone's very aware of the pandemic, but it's not just the pandemic that went on this year. It was an exceptional amount of spending by our government that also went on this year. And why we wanted to bring this up is because if you're not already talking to your clients about this, it probably will be a conversation that's going to be coming up. It really doesn't even matter what president ends up taking office in January. It should be a conversation that's going to be coming up here soon, and that is the future of taxes. Where are they going to be? And more importantly, is it important to consider where taxes are going to be in your retirement? I think that question is as important as the account value itself. What do I mean by that? I have personally sat in front of a client before, and we've had this conversation, and he says, you know what, I'm not really worried about my retirement portfolio and taxes. I got over $1 million in my 401k. I plan on working for another 15 years. I always ask the question, do you really have $1 million in your 401k? He says, yeah, you're looking at the statement. I said, well, that's great. Yeah, I see that. But how much of this is your money, and how much of this do you owe Uncle Sam? That right there became the conversation of, wow, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where my taxes are going to be in the future. So, look, Rob, I might have lost the screen there.
We're on history of taxes.
Yep, perfect. So this graph right here shows the history of the top marginal tax bracket, top marginal tax bracket going all the way back to 1913. Why does it go back to 1913? Because that's when the 16th Amendment made federal income tax permanent. It's not going anywhere, right? As you can see, shortly after this federal income tax became permanent, we went straight into World War I. Over 75% was our top marginal tax bracket. Okay, that was a velocity spike there created to help fund World War I. However, federal income tax didn't go away. Shortly after that, you see a 94%. 94% was our top marginal tax bracket in 1945 during the peak of World War II. That is a phenomenal number to grasp. But this is a very real number. In fact, some people may have heard the story before, but we had a very famous U.S. president that was a Hollywood star at that time, Ronald Reagan. He had a 2-picture deal with Warner Brothers to make 2 pictures in a calendar year. However, back then they can make a movie in about a month, right? So they actually came to him in that same calendar year and said, hey, we want to make a 3rd movie. Well, he did the math. That would put him in the top marginal tax bracket. He'd make 6 cents on the dollar. Found out there was a big flaw in our system. Encouraged people not to work, to not contribute to our economic society. So flash forward 45 years, he's president of the United States. He's able to bring down our tax bracket, our top marginal tax bracket, down to almost its lowest it's been since the inception. However, we have to realize something. 1988, we were less than $1 trillion of national debt. We flash forward another 30 years, we're only at 37%. We're still at arguably some of the lowest taxes our U.S. history has ever seen. But the problem is we are counting towards $30 trillion of debt. Some people may think, well, taxes are not directly correlated to our debt. It's more correlated to our, what party's in office. I will tell you that it needs to be directly correlated to our national debt because it is a math problem. That's because 87 cents of every dollar only goes to 4 government programs. 4. Medicare, Medicaid, the Defense Department, Social Security, and just interest on the national debt. So that being said, most people would have drawn that line moving forward up. Maybe not a velocity spike like we saw during World War I or World War II. Maybe not even during this gray section, 1965, 1981, we were 70% or more. But 50%, top marginal tax bracket, that's real, right? So I like to look at this next slide.
Nate,
yep.
I think something you brought up about party and election, if we look at that top rate in the 90s, the 90% rate there prior to 1965, that was under Eisenhower, who was a Republican. And it's not well known, but it was JFK who pushed for the reduction of that top credit, who was a Democrat, and Lyndon Johnson who got it done. So when we talk about in our current history, the Republicans are the party of lower and slashing taxes. That's not always been the case in our history. And also, if you're in Oregon, that top bracket of 37 is only the federal. Our top bracket is 9.9% on everything over 250.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, reiterate what I said before, it really doesn't matter who actually holds office in January. We are going to be looking at a tax increase. So let's look at that. This right here on the left-hand side is our most commonly used bucket for retirement, right? This is where we see majority, and all people put their money here for retirement. These are your IRAs, your qualified plans, right? Your IS 400 sections. Now, what happens if taxes go from 35 to 40, 40 to 50, and you start taking money out? Well, Uncle Sam gets more and more, right? You put less and less in your pocket. Or if you actually need to net a number, if taxes go to 50 and you need $100,000 a year, you need to take 200 out of your account. So all of a sudden, my friend that I was talking to about doing this, he no longer had $1 million in his 401k, did he? Because he owed Uncle Sam half of it. Now, this is, of course, we're talking about the highest marginal tax bracket, but this is going to go down the tax code or the tax system anyways. Whether you are in lower, mid, or higher, you're going to have a future tax increase. So what we like to focus on today is tax diversification. So I move over to our bucket on the right. These are our tax advantage buckets. I like to call them our tax-free buckets. I'm a big fan of Roth IRAs. I think Roth IRAs are great. There's a one-word problem with Roth IRAs, though. That word is limitation. You can only put so much in. Doesn't really move the needle for a lot of folks. Or if you make too much money, you can't even contribute. Muni bonds. Muni bonds can, it's just not very attractive, right? Designed maybe for the ultra wealthy, but even the rates on those are just garbage, really. So we're not even really focused on those. What we do like to look at, though, is life insurance benefits. And this is not your traditional life insurance. We actually are designing life insurance, and I like to call it reverse life insurance, to stay inside a specific IRS code, 7702, which describes cash value life insurance. And if we stay inside those rules the IRS gives us, we can opt for all of the tax efficiencies of a Roth IRA with none of the limitations. But we don't just get all the efficiencies of a Roth. We get all these other benefits, the tax-deferred growth, tax-free death benefit if you don't make it home one night. Only investment out there that will give a leveraged account to your beneficiaries, 100% tax-free if you don't make it home one night. No IRS limitations. They're not controlling how much you can put in. They're not controlling who can contribute. They're not controlling when you can take it out. There's no rule on 59.5 for penalty. Furthermore, there's no rule that you have to take it out at any certain point in time, like an RMD. But the real powerful with cash value life insurance now is flexibility. not only be able to take out your money when you want, but also the ability to take it out and via policy loan, offer yourself some incredible leverage. Most people resonate cash value life insurance policies with whole life. The insurance company is going to tell you how much you're going to get every year in form of credit to your policy in the form of a dividend. That's a very old school way of thinking. We like to focus on index universal life. Now, why? Because it truly does offer us uncapped now upsides with no downside risk and ability to lock in those gains. So for simplicity, we like to take this snapshot of what is called the lost decade, right? 2000 to 2010. This shows what the S&P index growth did versus an IUL with an 11% cap and a 0% floor. There's much more innovative strategies now that are uncapped that can offer clients more, but this is a very easy snapshot of how an IUL can work and what is otherwise the worst 10-year period in our financial history since the Great Depression. As you can see, as the market goes down for 3 consecutive years, we get credited 0. As the market goes up 23, we get 11. So on and so forth, all the way to the financial crisis where the market dropped almost 40% and we were able to lock in a 0. Now, this isn't always going to happen. In fact, I hope this never happens again. But isn't it nice to know where most people would be looking at a very, very financial bad 10-year period, we can otherwise get over a 5% effective yield?
That's nice.
Yeah. And again, I will tell you that some of the strategies out there are really, really getting good. So, Rob, I'm going to hold you off before you hit the next one here because I really like to hit on this. No, you can go to that next slide real quick. I just didn't want to bring up. Okay, yeah, perfect. So I'm not saying this is bad. I think these all serve a purpose, these tax-deferred accounts, right? They grow tax-deferred. You get a tax deduction. You have multiple investment options. However, what we need to think about is tax diversification. Why? Because as taxes go up, your account value goes down. Furthermore, the IRS classifies all of these accounts in one IRS code, 590A and 590B. They're all classified as an IRA. IRA, most people would say, stands for individual retirement account. That's not how the IRS determines it. They actually, in their IRS code, label it as individual retirement arrangement, an arrangement. And who is the arrangement with? The IRS. You can go to that next slide for me, Rob. Who controls that arrangement? Well, who controls how much you can contribute? The IRS. Who controls when you can take it out? 59.5, the IRS. Who controls when you must take it out? Age 72. And who controls how much you must take out in the form of a required minimum distribution? But the scary thing is, this next part, who controls how much you get to keep? And that's taxes. So again, we're not talking about, hey, let's put all our money into this different form, this different retirement vehicle. But what we're talking about is diversification, specifically tax diversification. So I kind of want to show you on this next slide, what does that look like for one of your clients? This is a 50-year-old male, okay? We're assuming that this person's maxing out maybe their 401k, maybe maxing out some alternative funds that they're investing in, looking for more of tax diversification, knowing that, yes, my taxes most likely will be higher in the future than they are today. $5,000 a month into an IUL for 15 years. We can project very conservatively by his retirement age of 65 in 15 years that we'll be able to give him over $100,000 a year of tax-free income. But it's not just tax-free income. It is non-reportable income. This does not affect his aggregate gross income come tax season because we are taking this out via a policy loan. The government doesn't even see it as an income. They see it as a loan or withdrawal from the policy. Now, this doesn't just have that tax-free income because it is life insurance, even though we're buying reverse life insurance inside the IRS code that allows us to buy a certain death benefit for the most money we're putting in. This still has over a $2 million death benefit at his retirement age of 65. And these policies also come with now living benefits, such as chronic illness benefits, because the unknown out there is if I get sick, if I get cancer, if something happens to me, where am I going to come up with that money? These policies now come with that. Now, here's the big part, though, and that last little part I probably should put in bold. This is an incredibly flexible plan. You have the options to, if you so choose to, maybe skip a year of contributions, or maybe pay less in 1 year and more in another year. And I always say that because if you contribute to your 401k for 10 consecutive years, and then all of a sudden in the 11th year, you know what, I have some financial stuff come up, I can't contribute to my 401k this year. In the 12th year, the IRS says, you know what, we understand, you can go ahead and contribute for that missed year to your 401k. They don't allow you to do that. In a policy like this, in a plan like this, you can. So this is where we're seeing more and more people start to light bulb go off. You know what, I am heavily, if not all the way allocated to my qualified accounts for retirement. Where can I start putting money that will be tax-free, not if, but most likely when taxes go up? This is one solution where we're seeing a big uptick, and not only demand, but people getting it. You know, they're not only asking for it, but they're getting it. They're understanding the importance of it.
So Nate, I see this as 50-year-old male that doesn't know the future, has a bunch of money, let's say, put into a retirement account at his work, or hers, excuse me, that is looking then for something that they could tailor their taxes, tailor their income, and diversify their taxable or tax-free income in the future. But again, they don't know what the future holds. So just in case, there's a tax-free death benefit if they die before they actually get to make a decision about tax-free income. Or they don't die, they have a bad accident, and they're unable to do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. So they're able to take some benefit tax-free as almost like a long-term care policy. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. And again, the big thing here is all benefits built inside these policies are 100% income tax-free, 100% non-reportable income. That's the beauty of this. And you just kind of hit on something good there, and I'll elaborate a little more and flexible. What I like about these policies and why I own one myself is it has the flexibility to change with your client's ever-changing goals, needs, and objectives. And Rob just kind of hit on a big one. People, I've seen it before, put money away for their retirement, and then all of a sudden life happens. Car accident, stroke, sickness. All of a sudden their goals and needs are a little different. How do we help protect them when those goals or needs change? This policy has the flexibility to help with those ever-changing goals, needs, and objectives. And that's why I always say it's not the full thing, but it certainly should be considered as a piece of the overall retirement portfolio.
So Nate, the other thing that comes to mind is diversifying, let's say, the retirement income, also diversifying your estate. You and I have done this before with a police officer who retired at 50 and has $600,000 in what is their equivalent of a 401k. It's called a 457 plan. And he can get access to that without penalty prior to 59 and a half. So we've taken either, in his particular case, premium from there now to pay for $1 million face value policy. And we're going to do that in this particular illustration. It says 15 years, but we're going to do that for 10 years. And I believe the projection was something along the lines of $40,000 a year in tax-free income for life. And to take that one step further, we have some other folks that have that required minimum guarantee or required minimum distribution, like you mentioned, that the part of their arrangement with the IRS is we'll let you defer this, but you eventually will have to pay the taxes. You'll have to take some income, so we have a crack at taxing it. So in that case, a lot of people aren't spending those RMDs. So what if we use those RMDs to pay premium to be able to take maybe either the equivalent face value of your account or even some more than what you have in your account. Pay those premiums with your required minimum distributions that you're already not spending. And maybe, in fact, some people are sending them to charity. But instead of sending it to charity now, you can send it to a policy, pay the premium, and then upon your passing, have the face value death benefit go to your children or family, and then maybe leave the beneficiary paid from your IRA, 401k to a charity. And then it seems like you get kind of double bang for your buck. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, that is actually one of the most commonly used, programs right now, is because of that IRS allowing you to leave that remaining IRA tax-free to that charity, and then leave your children the tax-free death benefit. It's again one of those unique deals where we're very fortunate that the IRS sees life insurance as truly one of the better assets you can own inside of your portfolio for tax reasons, right? And you can utilize it in several different capacities. We work with Rob quite a bit on several different plans, including the one on the police officer, but it's certainly, everyone's a little different. But the good news is we have resources and tools and products and carriers to help with a solution for everyone's different kind of goals and certainly wherewithal.
Terrific. So we don't have any questions from the field today. So I would encourage everybody to connect with their advisor. And I would say each of the Capstone Wealth Advisors has the ability to review life insurance policies as part of their financial plan, and has some pretty robust software to review your current policies, see if there's maybe, let's say, a Roth IRA insurance policy available, or if that would be to your advantage, and maybe then review your estate to see if there's a way to use your RMDs that you're not spending to pick up an insurance policy, and if that would benefit you in any way to achieve your, let's say, lifetime goals. And with that, thank you for joining Capstone Coffee Conversations. Have a good day.